So, are you actually controlling your enterprise AI or is it controlling you? Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving straight into the critical need for AI governance that actively protects your organization without crushing your momentum. Look, we are standing right on the edge of a massive technological shift. Artificial intelligence is completely rewriting the rules of business and productivity. But with all that incredible power comes a hidden, sprawling landscape of vulnerabilities. We're going to unpack what we call the commanding AI blueprint. We'll break down exactly how to industrialize AI across a complex corporate portfolio safely, securely, and strategically. The goal? To make sure you reap all the benefits without leaving your front door wide open to unprecedented risk. Here is our agenda for today's explainer. 1. The double-edged AI sword. 2. Uncovering shadow AI. 3. The AI vulnerability pipeline. 4. The threat priority heat map. 5. Securing the AI lifecycle. And finally, 6. The executive mandate. Let's get right into it. Section 1. The double-edged AI sword. We all want that massive, exponential productivity upside, right? I mean, we're talking about automation that literally cuts logistics routing times in half, revolutionizes complex financial forecasting in seconds, and dramatically streamlines heavy manufacturing. It's a staggering capability curve, but here's the reality check. Innovation without orchestration equals profound enterprise vulnerability. If you just let AI adoption run wild across your teams without any framework, you aren't just innovating, you're inadvertently creating huge blind spots in data protection, degrading the integrity of your models, and frankly, inviting some massive regulatory compliance breaches. Now, the mandate here isn't to hit the brakes. Not at all. It's to build a robust governance pipeline that actually allows your enterprise to scale this stuff safely. Section 2. Uncovering Shadow AI. Okay, this stat was a massive wake-up call for me. A staggering 90%, yes, 90, of enterprise generative AI usage is unvetted, unmonitored shadow AI brought in entirely by employees. Just pause and think about that for a second. The AI tools that your IT department has actually taken the time to rigorously review and approve, the ones with sanctioned contracts, tightly managed APIs, and secure data silos, they make up just 10% of the overall picture. The vast majority of your entire AI service area is literally just off-the-shelf tools that well-meaning employees are bringing to work to get their jobs done faster, completely under the radar. It's exactly like an iceberg. Above the water, right there at the tip, you have your safe, sanctioned tools. You can see them. But lurking below the surface sits that massive 90% chunk of shadow AI. What does this actually look like on, say, a random Tuesday afternoon? Well, it looks like your HR department analyzing sensitive employee performance feedback by pasting it into a free open-source chat tool. Or maybe a shared services team processing confidential vendor invoices through a public AI instance just to save a few hours of manual data entry. The bottom line impact is severe, because those public systems are learning from that input. You're looking at immediate, unquantified risks of privacy exposure, intellectual property leakage, and some very strict compliance violations. Section 3, the AI vulnerability pipeline. To actually fix this vulnerability, we have to stop treating AI like some magical black box and start treating it exactly like a physical factory pipeline. You wouldn't let a mystery machine operate on your factory floor without understanding how it works, right? AI requires that exact same mechanical scrutiny. The threat vectors are strictly tied to where they sit in this continuous life cycle. We move from the raw feed of data and input on the far left, into the model or the engine in the middle, and finally out to the output and user exhaust on the right. To truly protect your enterprise, you've got to understand that a threat at the intake phase requires a totally different defense strategy than a threat at the exhaust phase. Starting with Zone 1, data intake. This is where attackers can quietly poison the well before the machine even starts humming. We're looking at two high-priority threats here. First, AI supply chain risk. The best way to conceptualize this is to imagine inheriting a premium manufacturing component, but realizing way too late that it comes with hidden, hazardous metallurgical flaws. If you use a third-party logistics routing model to power your fleet, for example, it might introduce hidden security backdoors right into your highly secure dispatch systems. Second is model poisoning. This is where bad actors corrupt the foundational logic by messing with the training data over time. Imagine an attacker manipulating historical fuel data to systematically force your logistics algorithms to consistently underprice freight. The system thinks it's making the absolute optimal choice, but it's been poisoned right at the root. Once we move past the intake and into the engine room itself, Zone 2, the threats shift entirely. Here, we encounter AI bias, where unbalanced data weights lead to systematically skewed decisions. Imagine a financial services algorithm generating discriminatory loan outcomes because of a historical bias in its data. That's an immediate, massive regulatory penalty. We also face model theft, which is exactly what it sounds like. A competitor quietly extracting your highly specialized proprietary algorithms, like your aviation predictive maintenance models. But adversarial attacks? These are particularly fascinating. Fraudsters can alter pixel patterns in digital identity documents. To the human eye, it looks completely normal, but it's mathematically designed to automatically bypass your financial institution's KYC identity validation checks. It's basically like wearing a fake delivery uniform to perfectly trick a biometric building security system. The AI is highly confident in its decision, but it's completely wrong. Then we hit the exhaust phase, Zone 3, the output. Honestly, this is where some of the most immediate danger sits. The most critical threat here is data leakage. This is when an engineering employee unwittingly pastes proprietary aerospace CAD schematics into a public prompter, permanently leaking your highly valuable IP into the public domain. Alongside that, you have prompt injection and jailbreaking. The perfect metaphor here? It's like slipping a secret, unauthorized script into a teleprompter that the speaker is physically forced to read. External users could deliberately bypass safety protocols on your customer-facing chatbots just to aggressively extract restricted tenant data. And of course, hallucinations. This is when systems confidently generate credible but entirely fabricated outputs. You absolutely, under no circumstances, want a mechanic relying on a hallucinated, non-compliant repair protocol generated by a supposedly helpful AI assistant on the hangar floor.
Section 4. The Threat Priority Heat Map.
Look, with so many diverse threats across the pipeline, we need a structured way to prioritize the chaos, because your security resources aren't infinite. We have to triage. In the critical red zone at the top, we have imminent, active threats to privacy and your unquantified attack surface, specifically data leakage and shadow AI. These require drop-everything, immediate attention, because your front door is essentially wide open. Just below that, the amber zone covers high-priority, systemic threats to operational decision accuracy, things like hallucinations, supply chain risks, bias, and prompt injection. Finally, the yellow zone contains medium-high priority edge cases, like model theft. Now, those edge cases absolutely still matter, for sure, but strategically, you simply don't dedicate precious resources to tackling a complex model theft scenario before you've plugged the massive bleeding data leakage hole caused by shadow AI. Section 5. Securing the AI lifecycle. Now that we thoroughly understand the vulnerabilities and how to prioritize them, it is time to shift from anxiety to empowerment. We need a concrete action plan. By institutionalizing security across these 4 sequential stages, you build a governance pipeline that actually allows your enterprise to adopt AI safely. We're moving logically across the timeline here, from establishing foundational rules before anything is built, to protecting the raw data, to hardening the model itself, all the way to constantly monitoring the wild ecosystem once the tool goes live. Let's break down exactly how this plan works in practice. Stage 1 demands central policy and strict, heavily documented approval pipelines. You simply have to know what is being built. Stage 2 isn't just about simple passwords. It requires robust data loss prevention systems and strict access controls, so your intellectual property doesn't just walk out the door during the training phase. Stage 3 is where you roll up your sleeves to conduct adversarial validation, essentially attacking your own system to find the flaws and mandating human validation for high-impact decisions. Finally, Stage 4. This is the crucial post-deployment phase, and honestly, it is the absolute silver bullet for that sprawling shadow AI problem we discussed earlier. This stage mandates integrating your AI usage logs directly with your Security Operations Center. By continuously monitoring the network for unauthorized AI traffic, you can finally detect and melt the underwater portion of that shadow AI iceberg. Section 6, the executive mandate. To actually make this action plan a reality, it cannot just be an IT issue. It has to be a foundational governance issue driven straight from the top down. As a leader, you have to enforce 4 non-negotiable mandates. Mandate 1 is incredibly clear. Prioritize visibility above all else. You cannot secure what you cannot see, so you must eradicate shadow AI through a strict enterprise inventory. Mandate 2. Govern the socio-technical context before deployment. Jargon aside, that just means you need to deeply understand both the social impact and the technical risk, establishing hard risk tolerances before a single line of code goes live. Mandate 3. Strictly enforce the human in the loop. Never entirely abdicate accountability to a machine. You have to configure appropriate human checkpoints based on the severity of the decision. And Mandate 4, remember that AI risk is highly dynamic.
You need mandatory testing, continuous monitoring for algorithmic drift, where the accuracy degrades over time, and rapid response decommissioning protocols ready to pull the plug if things go sideways. So, what does this all mean? The absolute crucial takeaway here is that visibility is everything. I want you to ask yourself right now, do you truly know what AI tools your enterprise is running this very second? Because if you don't have that pipeline visibility and if you haven't laid down those executive mandates with your teams, then you aren't commanding your AI. The unmanaged risk is commanding you. It's time to build that governance pipeline, shine a massive spotlight on Shadow AI, and turn this incredible technological upside into a secure, highly scalable reality for your enterprise. Thanks for joining me on this explainer. I highly recommend sharing these blueprints with your team today so you can start taking back control. Catch you next time.